Great. Here we are. It is Thursday morning, and we shall see how this goes. We're going to have the cat wanting to get in and out, and I can hear the next door neighbor kids are having a little bit of an exciting morning. You might hear them in the background. So, thank you so much for the feedback and the encouragement for the video that I posted this week, Beyond the Platitudes. So, a platitude is something basically that is said so much or saying that you hear so much that it stops having any meaning. So, in this video, we've gone beyond the platitudes of self love and got into really what it looks like and also the impact that it had on me in having to make that video. I have written down a bunch of questions and comments that have come in since I posted it, and I'm going to take a little bit of time to respond to those now. I'm recording live because videos take time to make, so why not just go live? Okay, I cried. I heard this from a number of people, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. However, I probably shouldn't be surprised because I cried at the clips that came in. As those clips came in over the course of 3 days, I mean, I I giggled, I bawled, I like one of them specific literally brought me to my knees. I just was holding my phone and I just sat down for a bit and had a cry at how raw that person's clip was. So it wasn't by design. It wasn't meant to be sad. And big hugs and real hugs when we're allowed to hug in person. Okay. Uh, when does self love go too far into ego and narcissism? This is interesting. And at first, I resisted digging into this question because it's like, I'm not your self love guru. I'm really passionate and write a lot of articles and posts and videos about it. So, yeah, I gave it some thought. And ego and narcissism as an outcome of self love. So, what I'm looking at isn't specifically self love. I'm using that because I feel like it's a really familiar term. However, it's the act and the power of being in love with yourself. So it's definitely like kind of a tilt shift on the whole topic. So it isn't the I love myself, I'm going to have a bubble bath, which is great and being kind to ourselves. However, if you've ever been in love, then this is the act of having been in love with yourself. So then I would say that ego and narcissism in the self love practice is akin to infatuation. So, in my theory and experience, if I'm infatuated with someone, they're perfect, right? They can do no wrong. They're up on a pedestal. I can't believe they exist. They have no faults or very minimal faults, or their faults are just like kind of the best thing ever. So I'm not looking at them. So, ergo, no faults. Uh, so that's where I think that infatuation comes into self-love and can be a lot of ego. So what I also hear behind, there was another one, I didn't write it down, but a friend had mentioned to me, it turns out whenever I see people, just even when I'm out on a walk now, self-love is becoming the topic du jour or du week. Or since it's 2020, the weeks feel like years. So the topic du year for me, self-love. And this person said, I always felt like I loved myself and had a healthy relationship with myself growing up. But then the other kids would make fun of me for it, or we were looked down upon, or we weren't supposed to show that. If someone gave us a compliment, you're supposed to say no, no, and that sort of thing. So that's interesting. I feel like that's the way a lot of us have been raised. It's predominant in a lot of cultures. And so something that I've been doing to compliment or to heal that is to just take a freaking compliment. Instead of someone saying, oh, hey, I like your curls, and I'm supposed to say, oh, but it's really messy and it's crazy and it's hard to, like, instead of listing all the reasons why that compliment is untrue, I just say thanks. Yeah, I mean, I've been stuck with it for over 40 years and I'm enjoying it. I cut my own hair this week, which is uh, almost as scary as releasing a video where you talk about potentially taking your own life and making the choice not to. So I figured if I could be that vulnerable in public, then why not cut my hair and just see how it turns out? Anyway, ego and narcissism as an outcome of self love. If you're already considering that, it's probably not going to be an issue for you. Your deep love of yourself, in my experience, is going to soften you and it's going to make you more patient for yourself and also for others. Okay. Is your hair green? Yes. My hair was dyed green whenever I shot the video, and it looks kind of like it's a reflection coming in from the windows. But there's still a little bit of very temporary hair dye in there because, well, just changing something after being in the house for months. You're beautiful. Thank you. That wasn't the point. I heard this from a few people, and a few people also said that they could see it, that it was internal. Um, so that's cool. I used to run from cameras. I used to mostly furrow, and that's where this line is from years and years of doubting and just old stories that I've been able to move through that now I find myself even just going to get my weekly grocery shop yesterday and I walk to the store and I'm pretty much grinning. I'm smiling. I'm in this state of contentment and being pleased. Not all the time because that's not possible, but a lot of the time. So thank you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video kind of first thing in the morning without makeup on and kind of in my pajamas because I want us to be real together. Call if you need support. We're always here for you. Thank you. If you feel that about someone, and even if you suspect that they're having a hard time, or even if you don't know, but you want to be available to someone who is living life, I mean, isn't all like life is challenging off and on, but it's just sort of the way it goes for, I mean, for myself and for anyone I've ever met and talked to about mental health. So thank you so much for the offer for support. The video I did dig into a very low, pretty much lowest time that I've ever had, and it was many years ago. And I do have support now. And on that day, though, I guess I'm really talking about it openly now. It's out. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Mental health is so important. And for us to be able to dialogue about it, maybe it's because we think that we can control how we feel. And we feel like if I'm not in control of my mental health and I'm really down, that's somehow my fault. So it's like calling someone and being like, I just spilled a bag of flour on the floor. That's my fault. It's different. There are a lot of factors, and I'm by no means a therapist or a counselor. And on that specific day that I'm remembering that I was seriously considering an out, I called a hotline. And that's what I feel. That's why those services are there for us. And that person was, oh my God, trained professional. And I'm forever grateful for the difference that she made in my life. Another little lesson there is we never know what difference we're making in someone else's lives. That person I'm grateful to, and it's been over 7 years now, I think. And I was just another phone call to her. She doesn't know. So thank you for the offer. I'm feeling pretty good these days. I've got a good support structure and a good routine, and I really appreciate the offer. And I feel like everyone everywhere make the offer to someone, especially people living alone in isolation, people who are cramped, anyone actually, never mind. Those of us living alone in isolation, it gets weird. People crammed into a small house with families with spouses, homeschooling. We all need support, especially now. It's a goddamn pandemic. Let's cut ourselves some slack. And then lastly, we have you should make a documentary next time. Nope. I'm not going to do it. The concept for the video was a whim. It was something that came to me while I was kind of on a literally on a runner's high after going for a run and on the trails really close to my house. And I thought it'd be neat to ask people to explore what it feels like to say I love you to yourself. And then, and only then, if they felt comfortable, to send me a video. So in these crowdsourced, user contributed things, then were like, I didn't know what it was going to turn into. And the story that was there, like I said, I laughed, I cried, I sat on the floor, I bawled, I clapped like a seal with some of the really hilarious ones and the way people set them up. Like, I appreciate the invitation, and instead of a documentary, which would take a really long time and a lot of equipment that I don't have, here's a Facebook Live instead. How's that? And well, there might be a little bit of an announcement coming up about something else that is not a documentary, but might scratch that itch. So there you go. Morning coffee with me. And thank you for the feedback and the comments and the encouragement. It means the world to me. I'm just going to keep going from here. Please see how it feels to tell yourself I love you. The video is on my page, and in that description are links to the original article that I wrote with the other steps and the journey and how it evolved as a practice. And I hope that you enjoy it. And if it resonates for you, bring up self-love in a conversation, the same as what I'm getting these days in my conversations with people that I run into whenever I'm out for a walk. We don't actually run into each other. We're still physically distancing. Don't worry. So until next time, lots of love and thank you. And tell yourself I love you. See how it feels. Thanks.